under the assumption that it is likely to be rewritten in the relatively near term, there's three options that are being discussed. Option one is status quo, leave it as is, where there's annual national megawatt hour accounting. Option two is to try to become a more physically rigorous sourcing mechanism, aka 24/7. And the third option is a more rigorous carbon accounting or carbon impact mechanism, also referred to as emissionality or emissions matching. So why don't you walk us through what those three options are at a basic level and what you view as their biggest pros and cons?
Sure. Yeah, that's and to your point, they're all options today, right? They should probably remain options to various accounting approaches, like we were talking about earlier. I think in a lot of ways, market-based accounting has really been the functional cornerstone of where we are today relative to the voluntary procurement mechanisms that we have in place. It's certainly helped in being able to account for the individual EACs that are being gained as a result of the projects, and then taking that mechanism and basically applying that into your carbon emissions budget throughout the calendar year. That has been really, and I would say the underlying cornerstone for all of the boom today, where, to your point earlier, it's not broke, don't fix it. I would say there's room for improvement. In understanding, how impactful those EACs, how impactful the claims are, how impactful what you were doing on the marketplace is it causing additionality? Is it helping things in reducing broader emissions, or would it have already been there as a result of you not interacting and claiming that? So I think that's the first, bucket piece there, where you can kind of interpret this from a variety of different lenses and a variety of different impacts today. Second, you just talked about 24/7 with a much tighter market boundary and much more closer to the real time of when those emissions are happening in those individual markets. Akamai has, just in the United States alone, 1,014 locations in which we operate today, on a variety of scale sizes. 24/7 matching on a very granular local scale would be absolutely impossible for us to pair and localize EACs with any impact in those markets on an individualized basis on a continual period of time. So what does that mean, right? We would have to time-based pair all of our hardware, all of our servers, granularly account for it, go out into the marketplace, and then try to transact for EACs that match that period of time in which those emissions impacts happened. Mechanically, yeah, you can set all the data up, you can gather all that information. I think it's certainly possible today, but the way that the market structures are set up now, and I think also in the future, isn't necessarily going to lend itself to really being optimal for a lot of businesses. This might help the largest businesses, but for the 90% of the other businesses in the world that have sporadic locations and market areas, that's going to be incredibly difficult to actually source. And this goes to being able to have an impact on utility scale solar or wind, as an example, where you can place it in a single market today, look at the consequential emissions impact or the additionality of that project, and actually be able to apply those EACs effectively to meet 100% renewable energy goals or zero emissions goals. And that has been very, very effective. 24/7 would greatly restrict that in any sort of a way if it were implemented. And then finally, I would say relative to kind of the broader impacts from a consequential perspective, in my mind, putting emissions out there and looking at it, in an optic lens of how can we have the highest cause and effect in the marketplace, putting emissions first, I think has a huge benefit in understanding, can I place renewable energy in a market that can have a higher emissions impact as a result of the energy that I want to procure? And I think that has a serious, not only impact on a global scale, but we're all breathing the same air at the end of the day. Being able to reduce and take fossil fuels offline, first and foremost, placing that energy in markets where you have those carbon intensity, you're going to have more bang for your buck, right? Problems with it, right? It's sometimes hard to source depending on the market lines and things of that nature. It could be in an emerging economy too. And I think it's widely sought that you could place a project in one market, like a West Texas as an example, and then account for it in a Virginia or a New Jersey or a New York, right? Looking at it in that lens, I don't think that that's really the motive here. It's more in the sense of, can you build an emissions profile where you can select renewable energy that is going to have the same impact in removing the emissions that you're putting out there to reduce the overall impact of electricity loads. So I think they all come with their puts and takes. They all come with their issues. They all come with their problems, right? They all come with their positives too. And I think that that's exactly what we're trying to build here is optionality on the accounting standards. Can we build accounting standards that people can select and choose the pathway versus trying to go out in the marketplace today and having a standards body make a decision? And I think that that's exactly what the WRI is after, right? Is trying to build something that works for corporations, that works for individuals, and that is looking after impact.
Super helpful. Thanks.